All right. Happy New Year, LA. Welcome back to another episode of the LA Poker Roundup. It's 2024, is January 2nd, and this is episode 17. I am your host, Ty Dobberton, along with my co host, Derek Kwan.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yep. And, we are happy to be back. Fresh year, fresh start. I don't know about you guys, but as a poker player, fresh year is always fun to wipe the books clean and get started at zero. So let's see, what do we have for you today? It's going to be a great show. We've got a lot to catch up on. We're going to kick things off with results from the Gardens Winter Series that's going on right now.
And let's check in on how we've been doing at the Garden so far.
That's right. And also, the LAPC schedule, the details for it are finally out on Commerce's website. We are going to go over that with a fine-tooth comb.
Been waiting for this one. That's super exciting. Next, we're going to talk about a huge cheating scandal that just happened on GG Poker.
Man, I told you to avoid those online stuff, man. All right.
Luckily, I can't even play on GG in California.
Exactly. And with it being the end of the year, some notable poker personalities have been posting their tournament results for 2023, and some of them come along with some words of advice we'd like to go over and share with you all.
And then lastly, we're going to wrap up with the weekly roundup.
All right. So we are going to start off with a little bit of great news for a local player here. So congratulations to Adam Swan, who finished out the WPT series with a win in the 1100 No Limit Hold'em event. So congrats. I believe he's Mr. Seven Deuce on Instagram. Adam Swan, he plays a lot around here. He's definitely in all the local LA guys. So way to go, Adam. All right.
Yeah, way to go, buddy. Yeah, another really, really good player. Glad to see some, LA players seeing some success over there at that big win series.
Yeah, well, we had the LA guys had a pretty good showing in the 1100s, I'd say, in the prime and in this guy. We just we didn't have a lot of exciting results from the main event, unfortunately. But
yeah.
Lucky for us, we had this awesome series happening, waiting for us when we came back over at the Gardens. So let's take a quick look at some of the events. As we we were really hyped for this all leading up to the event, up to the series, and now we have some results. We have a week in the books. Let's take a look. So to kick things off, we had Mr. Ross Villanueva, who won the seniors event. That was the kickoff seniors event, and he took home almost 9,000 in a final 8-player chop for that event. So congratulations, Ross.
Nice, Ross. I recognize him too. I think I played with him a few times. Seems like a solid player.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I do. I recognize him as well. So also on that day, so for those of us who could not enter the senior event just yet, I got some time to go. I'm sure you got just a few years to go yourself there, Derek. I know you're chomping at the bit. But we had the packages for the satellite. They were doing a kind of a super satellite for a entry into one of each of their price points for the series. So this was a satellite where you won a seat into a 360, a 500, and to the main event 1K. And was yep. So I fired a couple bullets. Actually, did I fire a couple bullets into that? How many did I fire? I think I actually only fired one bullet into that. It's pretty amazing.
Wow, good job.
Yeah,
and it's pretty amazing.
I actually got the very last seat of this package or of this
Congratulations.
Satellite. Yeah, and
nice.
The last time we talked about the satellites at the Gardens, I said I hadn't really played a whole lot of satellites there. I only played one really. I didn't really have a lot to comment on the format other than I think I liked it. And having played this one now, I gotta say I really like it. I really like it. So for those of you who aren't as familiar with how the Gardens does their satellites, it's a milestone/mystery bounty satellite. So what that means is if 1 in 10 get a seat, when you reach 10 times the starting chip seat or chip stack, so say you start with 30K, I think we started with 20K actually. So 20K, 1 in 10 get a seat. When you get to 200,000 chips, you raise your hand, they count your chips, you get a seat, and you leave. The other way is that once you get down to a certain amount of the field, so say in this particular event, I believe they were giving away 16 seats. 2 seats got given away before we got down to the mystery bounties when there were, I believe, say 27 people left or 28 people left. Everyone was now a mystery bounty. And when you knocked someone out, you pulled from the mystery bounty bin, and you either got a zonk, a 0, or you got a seat. So at that point in the tournament, there were, say, like 14 seats left. You had a big bin of half and halves, and now you had to play for that. So the interesting thing about this tournament was I was playing with a guy who got within 5K of the milestone, couldn't cash in, and then a couple hands later, he gets pocket kings. He goes all in for 195. He's got the table covered because if you had more, you'd be gone already. And the
Yep.
short stack sitting to my right on the button did not notice that he went all in. Wasn't looking, had his headphones on, jammed all in for 26,000 because he thought he
Oh
was
my
trying to
God.
steal the blinds from us. So we folded, and short stack is about to chuck his cards in, and he looks over, and the guy has kings on the table. He flips his pocket kings up. Because if he just steals the blinds, he's got his seat. Flips over pocket kings,
Yeah.
and the short stack's like, oh, geez. He flips over Jack 5 offsuit.
Oh my gosh.
Guess which hand won?
Jack 5, of
Jack
course.
5.
Of course.
The flop is king high, and the Jack 5 makes runner straight. It was incredible.
Are you serious? Oh my
Oh yeah.
God.
But the guy took it really well, but it was it was pretty bummed, but
That's
like,
super funny.
so he had to keep playing. And the funny thing is, I don't know if this happens every time, but if it does, this is what I really love about it. So what I hate about regular satellites in the Survivor format is they incentivize not playing, right? And you just sit there when you get close to the money. You're trying to just not play. You're trying to fold your way into making that money. And like, you're supposed to fold aces if you have enough chips, right? I mean, that can't be good poker, right? That can't be
Right.
that
Right.
can't be a good format. But this way, we actually ended up playing down to heads up. I had to literally play the whole final table, play to heads up, and knock the final guy out, which unfortunately was the guy in the story. When we had 35 left or so, he was 5K away, and I was 20K away for a while as well. I never quite made the milestone, but we had to play heads up for the last seat, and that's amazing. I felt like that's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's great.
It's so much
Yeah.
fun, and a lot of people, their complaint is they feel like it's so luck based, right? Oh, it's so swingy, it's so lucky at the end, but pulling the bounties, pulling the whatevers, and sure, there's luck there. But you have to have more chips than the other guy. You have to win the hand. You have to pull. But you still have to play that final table in a way where you're gonna be plus EV, right? And you can't tell me that there's not luck involved in, not being the guy that gets kings versus aces, not being the guy who gets queens when the big stack's just pushing every hand or whatever, and you lose a flip, right? There's definitely luck there. It's just, in my mind, much more boring luck, right? Like more passive luck in any way. Like,
Yeah, it sounds like overall like a fun format, but then just forcing you guys to play heads up, I think is just really, really good for poker in general. So yeah, I mean, I love that Kevin's trying all these creative things with satellites.
yeah. So I had a great time. I thought it was really fun, and if a format that makes you play down to the bitter end, and it wasn't even like a
Yeah.
late night. We were done at 8:30, 9 o'clock. So it's super fun. I highly encourage it, and definitely will do again. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's what we played that day. So I won some seats. So I got a couple bullets in my pocket, and you know how dangerous that is.
Nice.
All right, so
Nice.
brought it back the next day. I played in this thing. Second event was, I believe, just a $360 buy-in event, just a regular old 50K guarantee that just happened to get 114,000 in the prize pool. Congratulations,
Yeah.
Aaron Kin.
Yeah, good job, Aaron. And as we're talking through this, like this winter series at the Gardens is blowing away the guarantees by a mile, and this is especially impressive because it's during the holidays, right? When a lot of people might not be around, and they're with family. So this has been an incredibly successful series, and I think Gardens and Cavan have probably captured or maybe like cornered like the winter series for LA with this.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even know this was a thing last year, and it's because I was out of town. I went back east for the holidays, but I hope it did this well last year. But this year, man, I am glad it's happening.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's so well run. It's the fields are great. Everything's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I played this event, and as to foreshadow the future, maybe it was a little winner's tilt from the event before, but I fired a lot of bullets into this guy. I think I fired I think I fired 5 bullets into this guy, and I didn't make it past. I think I made it maybe 2 levels past Reg close. Did you play in this
Yeah,
event, Derek?
I did not, but I think with a lot of these events, especially one days, whether it's advertised or not, it's a turbo, right? They have to get you out of there in one day. So yeah, like they're going to be pretty high variance things. Things move pretty quickly, so you can't go through a lot of bullets, trying to ride that variance.
Yeah. Hey, I see Danny in the chat. So, Danny, we're going to talk about the main event at the end of, when we're through. We're going to go through chronologically in the schedule here. But yes, short answer, yes. I think it's a great value. And then the other event about the satellite, that was the opening event, the mega satellite with series packages that they gave away. So that was the event that ran alongside the seniors event on the 26th, the day after Christmas. All right, so the third event of the series was the ladies event, and surprise, surprise, Miss Beth Hall crushed the field. It was a chop, a three-way chop, but let me tell you, she had all the chips. And I checked in on them. There was a PLO event that same day that I punted into, or I didn't punt. I just put my dead money into. I was in the room, and I checked it out when we got to the final table, and Beth had all the chips when I walked over there. She probably had half the chips at the table when the final table was going, and it doesn't sound like she gave up any of them. So congratulations to Beth. Way to go.
Yeah, she's such a good player, man. She's gotten so much better, and I feel like she keeps getting better. I feel like almost every time we do a roundup, she's gone deeper at a final table or something, so it's crazy.
Yeah, I definitely think this is maybe the third time we've put her picture up here for crushing something around here. I know she really wants to take one of these really big figures, big figure tournaments down, and one of these big ones. But a trophy's a trophy. Like, look, she got 2 trophies for this.
Yeah, those are nice trophies.
I know, I'm pretty jealous, and
those are really nice.
But as jealous as I am, I sure still would never ever enter this event, because as it's pretty clearly labeled, this is the ladies event. This was the $250 ladies event.
Dudes, guys, don't enter these events. Come on.
And yet, there were still a couple guys that entered this event. I tried to walk around and do a quick interview of everyone, because like I said, there was a PLO event starting in a little bit. I had a couple minutes to burn. Saw a few dudes in the field, wanted to find out what the heck was going on. Some of them were not so responsive. Some of them, I honestly believe, and the table was trying to vouch for them, they actually thought it was an honest mistake. So here's the thing. For some of these guys, the staff and the floor, I know you're not allowed to bar people, but you could be a little more upfront and active in telling them, hey, this is a ladies event. You really want to register? Are you sure you want to register? Hey, this is a women's event, right? Because the first 2 guys, apparently they were one of the very first people to register for the event, and they say they didn't know it was a ladies event. They just signed up early, right? So I mean, it's possible. That
happens.
It's
I guess that happens.
And it's apparently was also kind of early. It was one of their first events ever, which I felt a little bad for them, but not really. When I found out that they had answered, the guys that entered on accident, I actually offered to pay them half their buy-in back to just leave. I guess they wanted to keep playing. I don't know. It's kind of a sign. It must be an early tournament for them, because it was definitely the plus EV decision. I don't know if they realized it, but the women's bracelet winner from this year was in the field, and Beth was in the field, and a lot of these ladies are killers, man. And if it's your first tournament, you probably should just take the money and run. But anyways,
and I'm gonna say to a lot of the guys too, these women's events are not. I think a couple of years ago, people looked at them as much softer, but there are a lot of really, really good women, and actually some of the top players that I know are actually women. So these fields are not soft anymore. So just let them have their event. Just don't jump in there.
Yeah. And for me, I feel like it would be optimal. Like, I feel like what these events really, in the beginning, women were the beginners. They were the new players. They were the ones who didn't play as often. They needed this space, which is still great. But I feel like what they really wanted this event to be, and what would be great, is if it could be a beginners tournament, right? Like a new players tournament. I think I've seen the idea floated, like, oh man, if they could have a bracelet event for people with like less than 20,000 in Hendon caches or something, right? But even that's not a great measure of how good or how experienced someone is at poker. But like, if there was some way to actually say, like, hey, if you've been playing poker for less than 6 months, this is your tournament and you're only ones allowed to enter. I feel like that's really what we want these tournaments to be. But since you can't really do that, it's a women's event.
I mean, I guess
let it for the ladies.
I guess that's kind of what the dailies are for. But yeah, I mean, I get what you mean.
Yeah. But but since we can't, and since it's just like, it's a fun thing. Like, hey, I only one of the guys, one of the guys, Robert. He was trying to pull the whole like, oh well, this day in representation stuff and things, and all,
Oh
I
my
was
God.
trying to, and then he tried to make a joke about his long hair, and the next time I see Robert, I'm definitely gonna compliment him on his long and lovely hair, and I'm gonna say, Roberta, your hair looks beautiful. Did you ever get around to shaving your legs like I suggested? Because he said he thought he could pass. Oh, I'm sorry. She said she thought she could pass. So if I see Roberta again, I'm definitely gonna make sure that she feels very comfortable at the table in her skin as a lady. Um, but yeah, I mean, come on, guys. This is just whatever. This is enough.
Yeah.
That's enough. I'm getting burned up. Let's go to the next tournament. Um, so the other event happening that day, as I said, PLO. I donated a bullet here. This is where my free
Nice.
$500 enter went. I think I won one hand. I think I won
Nice.
one hand, and but here we go. It was a $500 buy-in. They had 68 entries. Congratulations to whoop, Jason,
Jason Pena.
yep, Jason Pena for taking the win. Congratulations to Jeremy Hamey. Also got third place. He's a listener of the pod, so way to go, Jeremy. And notable Ryan Tossick got ninth. So
Nice.
yeah. Oh, hey, the pod's not following him. Let's hit that button. There we go. Ryan's a cool dude. I met him at the main event at the World Series actually for the first time. He was at my final table. Final table, he was seated directly to my right, and yeah, I got a lucky double up through him. And then later on, I found out who he was and that he was an LA guy. And he's been playing a couple of these winter events. He's been playing all the bigger guarantee ones in this PLO one. And congratulations to him. He had a baby this year. He said he's playing more of the local events. He's liking these one day events because he's got a kid now, and he's he can't afford to
Nice.
be playing so many day long events and traveling as much. So these local gardens tournaments are great. So hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more of them. Well,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
played with Ryan a bunch of times. Another really, really good player.
yeah, I was about to say, okay, hopefully like, because he's a cool guy, but not hopefully because he's so good. Um, so way to go, Jason. Congratulations. The next event, number 5, was another 50K guarantee. This was the bounty tournament, I believe. And this one ended in the entire final table chopping, but the prize pool for this was 136,000
Wow. I
in a
mean,
50K. This is a
yeah,
360 buy-in.
yeah. It's nuts. Like how big these prize pools have been getting for this series.
Yeah.
It's just really kudos to Kevin and Gardens.
Yeah, that's a one-day event, and they only run registration for 6 levels.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I think the bike one-day event, right? The bike 100K guarantee one-day events, they run registration for, is it 8 or 10 levels?
Yeah, yeah. That's a lot.
So they're getting 455 entries just in that many levels. So, yep, congratulations here. Congratulations to Jamie Dalapan. Congratulations for the top chop and the trophy. Final table here, some familiar faces. I see Paul in there. I definitely recognize some of these other guys. It looks like the entire final table didn't want to be pictured if it was the entire final table chop because I know all those dealers weren't playing.
Yeah.
All right, so that is the bounty. I fired a bullet in there. I think I got 2 bounties, and then they booted me out of that guy. Did you play any of these events that we've talked about yet?
I think I played in this bounty event. I basically didn't cash in anything, so it's a little bit of a burden to me. But I think I played 3 events. Yeah, but I think I busted out of this one.
Okay.
Before the
Did
money.
you get any good
Yeah.
footage from any of these events? Or are you saving all the footage for the main?
So I decided the one days I'm just gonna do maybe like some Instagram stories and YouTube shorts and save the logs for like the multi-day events. So I did do like a short like a YouTube short and an Instagram story for
Okay.
this one, or maybe the other one. I don't remember.
I gotcha. So the next event was the mystery bounty. The mystery bounty had another massive turnout, but let's say the congratulations to the biggest mystery bounty puller, Mr. No Mata.
No Mata.
Yep. So No Mata.
Nice.
Apparently his daughter told him
15K.
when to pull it.
Wow.
Yeah. So once again, the mystery bounty I believe was a 100K guarantee, and well, let's just say this guy had a 247,000 prize pool for a one-day
That's
event.
ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
$500 entry fee, one-day event. They had 563 entries.
I mean, what's the biggest one day event?
The bike
wonder if
had
this is the
800 something. No, I'm pretty sure that 100K they did was where they broke the record. Their record was like 800 something.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, but
That's
once again,
insane. I don't even remember that.
their reg is open for like 10 levels, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, no, we it was right after the World Series. It was the first 100K guarantee one day after the World Series
Yeah.
ended, and it was massive.
Oh, I didn't. The last bounty wasn't the one. I played this mystery bounty, but I didn't play the last bounty. That's right.
Mm.
Yep.
Yep.
So
So
I donated to this one.
yep. So in this mystery bounty, yeah, I donated as well. You know, I was this mystery bounty. This tournament was a little bit annoying. I was at a really nice table. Everyone was pretty, or a really good table for me. Everyone was pretty passive. I was chipping up nicely. I think I got up to like 45K without a showdown. And then an action player sat down, and in level three we got all in like with for 30K. So for 100 big blinds with his pocket sixes versus my pocket jacks, and I lost
How many big blinds?
for 100. It was the blinds were like 300, and you start with 30K, I think, right? So yeah,
Did you say that was pre?
yeah. So it was insane. So this guy sits down on my right, and I think I three bet him once, just once though. He'd only been there for two orbits, so literally the second orbit he's at the table. I'm in the small blind, like three people limp. He limps the button, so I'm like, I have jacks. I'll just win. I make it 3,000 over 300. There's like 1,000 in the like 1,200 in the pot, you know. So I make it 3 grand. It comes back to him. He makes it 15 grand. So I'm like, well, you've got 12 and a half, 13,000 left, and you limped the button after all these guys. I guess I'm all in. And he had sixes, and he snap calls with sixes, and we flop six high. So then after that, I was down to, I'm down to 14,000. And
I guess that's how you get sixes in with 100 big blinds. I don't.
I know,
That's
right? So yeah, so instead of going to 100K in level three, I went to 15, and I pretty much just like barely survived all the way through to the end of Reg. And Ryan Tosick actually ended up at my table near the end of Reg.
Oh,
And
nice.
yep, and neither of us were able to get much going as far as I could tell. But when I busted, I was around starting stack and got it in and lost, and he had about starting stack. So it was a
Yeah.
bit of a rough day there. I don't know. How was your day
Yeah.
during the mystery bounty here?
I busted before the money. I feel, yeah, it's been a bit of a blur. I think I've run really bad over the last like week and a half at the garden. So nothing too
Well, as we say, we're
notable.
saving it all up for the main, right?
Yeah.
But-
And Grinder's saying, please tell the gardens that they shouldn't skip any level in the 1K event. So definitely the 1K will be a bit better structured, but I think even for something that has to finish in 2 days, it's probably going to be a little bit fast.
Yeah,
So, but just kind of glancing at the structure, doesn't look too egregious. It seems okay.
Yeah, I saw some chatter on Twitter about people begging Kevin to put levels back in, and he said that the structure for this event is set, but he's open to feedback for future events. So hopefully we'll make it deep enough to be able to give him that feedback from a firsthand perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not covering every single level, but again, for a 2-day event, I think you probably have to structure it similar to this to kind of get it done.
Yeah, and I glanced at the schedule when people were talking about that, and there are definitely more levels than there are on the one days, and the levels being longer will help too. So, but we didn't run well in these preliminary events, but here are 5 guys who did. So, congratulations to Mark.
Congrats.
No, Ronald. So not only did he pull the highest bounty, no, or wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is No in that picture? I don't see him. Maybe they just listed his name because he pulled the big bounty. Mark, No, Tanner, Ronald, Ryan, and Cheng. So I believe Cheng here in the middle. He was the highest. He was the highest winner. He got. Did they say how much he took? He took more than 22K for the first place. I believe he got third place in the Memorial Day tournament that I won last year. So the guy runs pretty well at the Gardens as well. He's
Nice.
Way to go to everybody at that final table, and to No for pulling the big bounty. All right, the next event was a turbo on New Year's Eve. It was a smaller event. They probably weren't sure who would be coming out for the New Year's Eve tournament, but congratulations to William Rudnick. He won
Nice.
in a 4-way chop.
Good job, William. Man, I really love these trophies. I need to get one of these.
I know, I really do too. This is the trophy they gave away in the mystery bounty that I got second and chopped second place with Manju. And man,
Yeah.
if it wasn't a Sunday, I would have played for the trophy. I really wanted to win that trophy, but
Yeah. And they engraved it so like specific to the thing. It's nice.
yeah, for sure. So congratulations, William Rudnick, on the turbo, the 250 turbo, and for a 13,000 prize, I'm guessing the turnout for this was fantastic as well because that guarantee I think was only 25K. So they must have over doubled that guarantee as well.
Yeah, it's crushing.
And then last night was another 500 entry, 100K guarantee, which once again basically doubled the prize pool. They had 448 players. I was one of them as well. I believe someone told me you were there. I didn't see you somehow though.
Yeah.
And that prize pool got to 197,000. So holy cow! So
Yeah, huge.
congratulations to Sean On and Janier Daniels.
Janier Daniels. Yep. Congrats, dudes.
Yep. So they got the top two places and they pulled themselves a chop there. For 42,000 and 35,000. So way to go. That's pretty good off of 500
yeah,
one day.
Really good.
Absolutely.
One day. That's nuts. Yeah.
And the first prize, so I actually did cash in this one. So finally got off the schneid beyond the
Nice.
the satellite. And kind of want to talk about the payout structures for these guys because they paid 10%. I did hear some people kind of wondering or grumbling almost that like 10% seemed low. Which is interesting. I think I like 10%. I don't know. Do you have a feeling? Because like 10% is, I think that the commerce usually does 1 in 8, so 12.5%. And I think the bite kind of oscillates. I mean, but you can't really
They're
tell.
not consistent.
Yeah, you can't tell the quantums are all over the place because of the weird math, and then the sometimes it's 10%, sometimes it's 12.5% at the bike. So what do you feel like? What is your favorite?
I'm always in favor of more people getting paid and generally flatter structures, even though I love to, aim for like the big, podium finishes and get all the money. But it's really just better for the poker economy in general to keep people in action, right? Get more people to cash, especially a lot of recreational players are there. It's great to have 12 and a half or maybe like 15 just cashing in a tournament and getting some money back. I'm always supportive of that, right? But also obviously the logistics and operations of doing all that is kind of be a little bit difficult and maybe can prolong the tournament a little bit. So I mean I get it, but I think more is better. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think I kind of like the 1 in 8 myself. 1 in 10 is probably the limit to where I'd go. I don't think I like the 15% cashing the World Series does. I feel like that might be a little too much. Because they tend to have a min cash of like less than 1.5 buy-in, right? That feels a
but it's better
too low.
It is, but it's better than like zero, for a lot of people, especially in the World Series. You get to say you cash in the World Series and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of why I'm generally supportive of it. Yeah,
that might make more sense for their brand. Yeah, so people can get that I cashed in the World Series vibe. The other part about the payouts in these dailies that they've been smashing these prize pools, and one thing I kind of wanted to bring up is I'm trying to decide how I feel about the way that it's distributed. So first, these two chopped up and got 42,000, 35,000. The original payout for first place on this thing was over 50,000.
I saw that and I was like, "What the?" I remember I just kind of glanced at it, but I was like upset about like busting out. So I was like, "Whatever." But it did kind of raise an eyebrow. Where I was like, "Wow, that's like a really really big payout."
Yeah, and if you look, the total prize pool was 197,000. So we're talking like 26% of the prize pool type of numbers here.
20. Yeah, I actually thought they were way over 200K to make it 50K, but now I'm looking at this. Yeah, that's a really high first place payout.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's out of hand. I mean, in like a 70-person tournament, okay, 25%, sure. But, this event had 450 people in it. I feel like that, even though it's a one day, we can use math a little more like these multi-day tournaments or something. I think like a 20% first prize of 40 grand, I think would have still been pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I love obviously having a big top heavy thing because it's like a fun thing to aim for. But again, I just feel like for the best of the poker economy and everyone, it's better to be a little bit flatter. And 26% seems ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. I agree, 100%. Now I do.
What's up, Xander?
Yep. What up, Xander? I do like that the minimum payout, the min cash was double your buy-in. So the min payout was like 1,050 or something. Nice. So that's awesome. Yeah. But I kind of felt like there were 0 pay jumps up until you got to like 8th place, which was strange because we started cashing at 45, and the money was 45, and I got 16th, and I got 1,900. So I got basically instead of 1,000, I got 2,000. So I doubled the money from 45th to 16th.
I think in live tournaments, I'm okay with there just being much flatter, less pay jumps, especially at the World Series, because it's crazy because they can't keep track of all the people
Uh-huh.
when there's thousands of people cashing, and all of a sudden they have to stop the tournament at a pay jump because they don't know, like, who's actually busting out
Sure,
at what
sure.
number. So yeah, I think live tournaments can a little bit flatter is okay.
But when you do have a step, I feel like, we should be, instead of that, my preference would be, instead of that 25.5% top prize, you make that 20%. And now
Yeah,
when you have the jump, it can be, like that we got that 1,000 level, and then the next jump can be 2,000, and then the next jump
yeah.
can
The
be
tiny jumps,
3,500, and
tiny
then
jumps, tiny jumps are silly. You might as well not have a jump, right? Just
yeah,
just flatten it all the way to the final table or
yeah,
something.
and even just the numbers just didn't add up to very much, because it was
Yeah,
literally every 3 or 4 people, it was an extra $200, and it's like, what are we doing
yeah,
here?
yeah,
What are we doing here? And then when you get to the final table, all of a sudden, now we're talking 7 grand, 7 grand,
right.
10 grand. It's because to your point, if you give more people 3 more bullets, more people 6 more bullets, that's gonna help out the poker
Yeah,
economy a lot more.
right,
So,
right.
anyways, and then the last bit, like people have already kind of mentioned with the structures. This structure at the end, whew, it was like a daily. I think the structure might have actually been a daily structure with a half-hour levels, but once again, it has to finish in a day. So what are we gonna
It
do?
has to finish in a day,
Yep.
especially with that many people. So, yeah, it is what it is. Just be mentally prepared for it. I almost just feel like I'm an absolute fish at one-day tournaments still. I don't play them that often, and I think there's just like a certain cadence that you get used to, and the speed of it. I'm still not quite there.
Yeah. No, they definitely are different because they're turbos and they skip levels, and you
Yeah,
know the
yeah.
players so well. You have any fun stories from this tournament?
I would only just be listing bad beat stories all the way through this, so
Hey, well,
probably.
people love a good bad beat story. We'll give you one. What's your best one?
I mean, yeah, the bust out yesterday. Third bullet. Actually, no. Maybe the most interesting hand is that on the first bullet, I think it was yesterday. Myself and another player were pretty deep at kind of early in the tournament, around like 60-ish big blinds. Um, he raised. I called a button, big blind, and the blinds came along, four-way pot. And then on a flop where I had flopped a flush draw with 9-6 of clubs, he jammed 3x pot. Like he jammed 3x pot. I was not
3x
getting the
pot.
odds to call. Yeah, 3x pot. And he was just like that kind of player that's just like, and I'm just, clearly you have like aces or kings and you want to throw everyone out. But I just called because I could rebuy. You know what I mean? And it was an opportunity to basically get like 110K in chips right there,
Yeah.
right? Like right there. So,
So obviously you missed.
yeah, obviously I missed,
Yeah,
right?
of
So yeah,
course.
that was the fun hand. But that's like the kind of hand that I'm not upset about busting, because like you have to go for big pots like that. You don't have to, but he obviously didn't give me the odds to do it, but I called anyway and missed.
Right. Yeah. And we can afford to go for the big pot, and with the payout being 26% at the top, it's like, why not?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
go
like,
for
why
it.
not?
You need a big stack to get all the way
So
over there.
that story and that kind of a big pot play leads me into some. So other notables who cashed did not make the top two here, so didn't get into the post, but Michael Long cashed. I believe he min cashed around 36th or so.
Nice.
Beth Hall was sitting directly to my left when we went down to 3 tables. So she was actually, I believe, 27th or 26th.
That's
And
unbelievable, man.
all
Let
day
me see.
long, I had to play with our buddy, Mr. Michael Danley.
Oh,
I have
the
a
variance
couple,
monster.
I have a couple great, and you know what? I'm telling you, his style is great for these dailies. I tell you what, he ended up getting,
Yeah, yeah.
what did he get? I think he got, shoot, he told me, I think he got like 12th or so. I think he got 12th.
It's not surprising. I mean, this guy, it's not that he's just, I mean, he's a maniac, but he's like not a bad poker
No,
player. You know what I mean? He's going to put you in a lot of really tough
right,
spots.
and he's
Um,
he's not he's not, and he does it for a reason. He maybe he needs to
yeah,
keep a lid on it here and there, but he knows what he's doing and why he's doing it, and
yeah, he
when it
does.
works, it works. And I have some good stories about him from the day, because we played together a fair amount. So
Yeah,
once again, my starting table on the day, fantastic table. I went. Let's see, it's 6 levels to reg closes. So I went so in the first 3 levels, I doubled. I went from 30 to 60. Not a single showdown. I don't think I showed my hand a single time.
nice.
Fantastic. Perfect ideal table.
That's
Um,
unbelievable.
After that, kept doing pretty well. I think I got up to about 75K, and it was nearing the end of we're in level 6, getting close to end of reg. Around 75K, right on target. Everything's perfect, everything's beautiful. Bust the guy to my right, and then who comes in to my right with about 15 minutes left of before reg closes, but Mr. Michael Danley. So he sits down to my right, and I give him a fist bump. I said, "Oh boy, I'm either gonna have 120K in a minute, or I'm gonna be rebuying."
It's funny with him, like obviously you don't want certain players on your left, but even when he's on your right, it's not great because he donks a lot, he check raises a lot. So he just
Oh,
adds the
he
variance no matter where you're sitting
honestly,
on the
yeah,
table.
I
It's
think I like
yeah.
him on my left, honestly, because I can
Yeah.
play a little snugger, and then I can just jam when I have a good hand. Because when he's on your right, he makes life much harder, honestly, because of those things. You know what else he does
He takes very
constantly?
unconventional. Yeah.
Yeah, he constantly limps, even in the
Yeah.
end when we were down to 30, people and less. He was still limping because he had the chips to do so, and that makes it just so tough when he's on your right, because it's like, well, someone limped, I have to risk more, or I have to just play less, or it makes it tough. But
I just laugh because like so many of those hands where he just limps and all of a sudden it's like I kind of look away for a minute and I come back, there's a
and the
huge
pot's
like pot,
massive.
and he's got like a boat on the turn with the jack like fours. You know what I mean? It's just
Okay,
it's funny.
so Jack 4, you say that hand is a monster. No, um, he's playing. He wins a little pot. He actually busts a short stack from his 10K. With something. He sits out the table. He goes all in 3 out of the first 5 of his hands. Um, Very first hand he gets dealt, he someone opens, he jams all in over. He's all in many hands in the beginning. So we get to the final hand. This is literally the clock just hit 0. This is the last hand before reg is over. This is it. I'm in the small blind. People have been seeing what he's doing. There's 3 limps, including the woman that he jammed on earlier. They've been jawing a little back at each other. She's calling him a crazy degenerate gambler maniac, and he's taking a little offense. He's like, all right, that's enough, right? So the
Mhm.
limp, she limps, he limps his button. I got kings. All right, this is great. The last level's 800 blinds. I'm like, I'd rather just win right now. I don't really want to have to gamble with Mike at this particular level. So I'll make it 7 grand. I should have just made it like 15. I should have just jammed all in, honestly. So I make it 7 grand.
Yeah, with that many people, it's okay to maybe like 12 or 13x the
Yeah,
pot.
yeah.
Actually, yeah,
I
yeah,
should. I mean, I grabbed a handful of chips. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go. I think there were, I think 3 limps total. So I
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
could have went
yeah.
even bigger, but I'm like 7 grand. That'll do it. And the other thing is, what I was really hoping was, I know some of these limpers were trying to trap Mike. They were hoping he would raise or jam so they could go,
That's
I
true. That's
gotcha.
true.
So I'm like, I want to
Yeah.
make it
So
big, but not so big they can't jam again, right?
yeah, so you can induce. Yeah.
So I make it 7. Gets to her. She's tanked. She's thinking. She's staring at me. I'm like, come on, just raise. What are you doing? She just calls. Mike calls. Flop. Jack 7-3. No, not Jack. I'm sorry.
Yep.
10-7-3.
Yep.
All right. I bet 8,000. She tanks. She's staring at me again. I'm like, just raise. Like, whatever. I coolered you. Just raise. She
Yeah.
folds. Mike just jams 40K. I think he had like 35 left. It's like all in 35,000. I'm like, all right, I knew this was gonna happen, Mike. Here we go. What do you think he had?
Did he have Jack 4?
He had Queen 3 offsuit,
Oh my gosh.
and he spikes the Queen on the turn.
Oh my gosh.
So at the end of reg, I've got 55K. He's got 75K or whatever. I was able later
Yeah.
on. I was able to get it back while we were still at this table. I played a pair of jacks, or I played nines kind of slow. I flopped a set versus 2 pair. Cooler, got it back. But one hand, with the way you were talking, some of the hands he limps, you turn around, and next thing you know, all the money's in. He does other things that I kind of think we can learn from. Something I'm going to start incorporating a little more in these early levels. He limps a lot of hands, right? But he limped in like level, just after reg, because our table broke shortly thereafter. He limped queens from, maybe the
He
hijack.
does. He does mix his
Yeah,
strategies.
he limped
I'll
queens
give
from
him
around
that.
the hijack. It was a limped pot. Comes
Yeah.
out jack high. Pot starts growing. The turn comes. It's like jack 10-8. They end up all in on the turn. Just like you said, you turn around and all of a sudden, bam, jam all in. Guy
Yeah.
tank calls him, and he gets a huge do you stack the guy or was it a double? He gets a huge pot with the queens there that the other guy would have never even
Right.
called pre-flop if he hadn't. So
Right.
high risk, high variance,
And
but that's how you get a big stack, right?
yeah,
So it's
yeah, like
definitely
this is the
something.
danger about him is that he is actually quite balanced, even though he
Yeah.
plays so crazy. He's very balanced.
Exactly. So that's what makes him
Yeah.
so tough to play against. And so yeah, so congrats, Mike. He got like 12th. Um, we were not able to get there. He tried to prophesize that we would make the final table together, but we didn't quite make it. All right. And they have another event going on today, and then from here on out, it's all at the Gardens, and from here on out, it's all mega satellites into the main event coming up this weekend.
Super exciting. Best event of the series.
Yeah,
Everyone get out here and play it. And if you can't afford it, just fire at those satellites. It's going to be a really good event. I mean,
absolutely.
I wonder what the prize pool is going to be because I was thinking 500K was going to be a stretch, but now I'm just wondering how much they'll beat it by.
It's gonna be. I'm super excited to see what happens. They've doubled every other guarantee. I can't see
Right.
them doubling this one. I wish
I'm
they
going to
could.
double this one, but yeah.
Yeah, I wish they
Yeah,
could,
but
but I don't. I can't see them doubling this. There's no way. You're not gonna get. You're not gonna get 400 entries on Friday and Saturday, right? It's just the structure's slower. It's just not gonna happen. But fingers crossed they do smash it though. I mean, I would consider 650 smashing it personally.
I mean, how many, what percentage are getting seats in the satellites? Is it like 10%?
Well, they're giving away at least 10 seats apiece in those satellites. So
Yeah.
I would say each of those satellites will put in probably 10 to 15 people.
Like, yeah. So I mean,
So
that already is going to be like 100 right there, right?
so that's yeah, if they put in 10 to 15, it's like 45, 50 and then the 10 from before, so that's 60. So just on,
Yeah. Yeah.
somewhere between 60 and 100 from satellites. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and then the
But
last 2-day series, the 2-day 1K they ran got 380 players, right?
yeah, it's going to be a great one. 1K events are always great just because the structure is so good. You're going to get a little bit more of a sophisticated, level of player. And then usually a lot of the nutty, unpredictable players are going to get weeded out a little bit, which makes the deep runs or the end game a lot more strategically interesting.
However, there's 3 days that us nutty players can fire, so there's a good chance we're gonna be able to get through.
Yeah.
There's a good chance we could still make it through.
Yeah,
So
but definitely get out for this one. It's going to be a good one.
absolutely, and I've got one satellited in ticket in my pocket, so I can't wait to fire. All right. So that is what we've got for the Gardens Winter Series so far. That will be a great way to cap that guy off, and then we don't even get a full week off before the Commerce LAPC
Roll right into it.
2024 kicks
There's
off.
a big one.
It starts on the 12th, January 12th. So DJ came out with a schedule kind of late last year. This PDF version of it didn't come out until a little later, and the structure sheets are on the website now. If you guys want to get out there and start clicking on the structure sheets, I hadn't seen them before, but it looks like they're all there now. So, and yeah, Xander, of course, for the main event of the Gardens, definitely longer levels. It may only be 40 minutes, but they are longer.
Yeah, 40 minutes.
Yep, there you go. So let's talk LAPC. LAPC, it's the huge one. It's the monster. This is a 2-month long series. This is the Remington. If you haven't got your Remington yet, I noticed you got some space on your trophy rack behind you there, Derek. All dusted off.
This is the year I'm getting Remington. That's it. I mean, I can't go any longer without having one.
Look, the good news for you is that they're like 50 something events. Like the LAPC is
That's true.
becoming like these are becoming like bracelets. They're
It's like the World Series, yeah.
they used to be impossible to get, but if you really want one, man, you take a day off. You take a day
Yeah,
off. I've got a couple
unfortunately,
tournaments for you that might be good.
unfortunately, I burned so much vacation for the win that I don't have much left.
No, I feel you there. So let's talk LAPC. There's almost too many events. There are too many events for us to go over in one sitting. So let's focus on the big ones. Let's focus on the big multi-day events. And the very first kickoff event, the first weekend, the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th, which is Martin Luther King Day. They don't have a fancy name for it, but is a $300, $300,000 guarantee, 50K
Nice.
guaranteed for first.
That
Um,
sounds great.
that sounds like
Like a
amazing value. Great,
Yeah,
great value.
perfect, nice little like mid level, like mid buy-in tournament. Good guarantee, good first place prize. Lands on a at least a holiday, right, for day two. So great.
Yeah, yep. So Monday being Martin Luther King Day, I hope you guys all have that day off. Unfortunately, I will have to shift around my work schedule if I make day two to play that, which I believe I can do. I am lucky that this time of year I have some work that I can actually do from home and I can shift around. So maybe I can just do some work extra late some of the other days or work on Friday. But we'll deal with
Yeah.
that when it comes. But for those of you who
Wayne's
have it
Wayne
off, this is
Wayne's
perfect.
yeah, Wayne's saying take some sick days. We hear you, Wayne.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, well, let's get to the rest of the schedule because the rest of the schedule might require some sick days as well. So we're gonna have to ration those out, Wayne. But yeah, that first event, especially if you have Mondays off, it's a no-brainer. Especially if you're like a mid to low price point kind of player, perfect
Yeah. Great.
ramp up from a daily into one of these series. So definitely get out for
Yep.
that. Second event of the series, the $400 XL stack, 150K guarantee with a double bag bonus. I gotta say, so this one, the day ones run from Monday to Friday, with day two coming on Saturday. And I gotta say, this is the first kind of head scratcher on the schedule for me.
Yeah, huge fan of DJ. Well, obviously, both of us are, but not loving this one.
Yeah. And of course, our kind of issue is that this is interesting in that they're really relying on kind of commuters almost because all of these day ones are in the evening, 4 o'clock. And then the only other one is Friday. So you have to have Fridays off. Luckily for me, I will get to play that Friday. I do typically have Fridays off, unless I had shifted my day from Monday. But if you work Monday to Friday, you will have to come at night to play one of these day ones. There is no Saturday day one, so that's a kind of a puzzling
Yeah.
decision. Um,
Yeah, it's kind of tough, and I just don't love it when there's only weekday day ones, even if it is like sort of an evening thing that you can kind of get afterwards. But I mean, it's tough even for me to get all the way from the west side over to here, like in rush hour.
yeah, and assuming it's a decent schedule, which with a XL stack it probably is. I mean, decent structure, you'll be up really late if you start at four
Yep.
o'clock to bag. So if you're working, you're gonna
Yeah.
be up pretty late the next night
Yep.
to bag. So I don't know.
Yep.
It's a tough one. For me, I almost would have liked to have seen one of the more expensive tournaments get this treatment because, the higher up in price point you go, the more likely the person playing it has a bit of a flexible schedule or is a pro, right?
Yep. Yep.
I don't know. Personally, I think I would have liked to have seen it, something else like that.
Yeah, I mean, having it on the weekdays is already going to put that 150K guaranteed at risk. And if you had just basically ended this on the weekend instead and have like a day one on a Saturday and a day two on a Sunday, you're going to double that guarantee, right? That's going to be easily over 300K. But instead, there's two one-day tournaments on that weekend, which is going to probably be less than what they would have gotten extra from that one. But I'm pretty sure that DJ and Commerce must be running some numbers and coming up with some like statistical reason why they're doing this. But at least right now, it's not super working man friendly.
Yeah, so I mean the plus side of it being structured that way, as you just brought up, is there are those 50K guarantee one days on both Saturday and Sunday that you can jump into. So that's good. One day tournaments are extremely popular, as the Garden Series has shown us, as those bike one day 100K guarantees have shown us. So those will be good events. Those one days. It's just for me, this all the series that these casinos run, for me they're really all about these multi-day events because we get one days and the
Yeah.
the Gardens one day on Saturday will get like a 50K prize pool, you know.
Right. Right.
um, okay, so the next big multi-day event starts the following. Actually, it starts on Sunday night, which is a very interesting decision, and it is a XL bounty multiplier with a 500K guarantee and a $2,000 bounty on day two. So, um, I kind of think that this 500K guarantee might be part of the reason that the previous tournament was structured strangely. However, if that's the case, I'm not sure why that Sunday doesn't have two flights. Um, because they only have a nighttime flight, a 5 p.m. starting flight on Sunday. So if that were the case and you were worried you wanted to get more good day one flights for this 500K, why not just make Sunday the 21st have all flights for this no limit or for this bounty multiplier, right? Um, I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're very married to these one day events. You see this at the Bike and the Commerce, and even if you have almost all the players seemingly screaming to not do that, there must be a big reason why they keep running these. So, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. So, and also the bounty multiplier, I think this is only the second or third time they've run it. No. I'm curious. I haven't heard a lot of strong feedback about it one way or the other. The only feedback I really heard was the first time I remember them running it. They had that bag twice, bring both bags forward thing, and nobody really enjoyed that. No one had good feedback about that. But I haven't really heard much about the other side. I think personally, I like the idea of this, and I like this better than Mystery Bounty. And I like this, I think I like this better than regular Bounty. But to be honest, either way, I still just prefer regular tournament to any bounty at all. I tell you, one person who does like
Yeah,
this format is Mike Danley, though, because the one they ran during the LA, the one they ran during the LA Poker Open, he won.
I
That he won.
remember.
He won. He got like
Yeah,
13 bounties. It was insane.
yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, I'm a little surprised because the Mystery Bounty I think is the most popular bounty events.
Hmm.
So I don't know why the 500K guarantees for the multiplier and instead of the Mystery Bounty. It's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I,
Interesting.
I would have flipped them personally. I would have thought that you would want to flip them
Right.
because the mystery bounties are the really popular ones, right? Because if you have a
Yeah.
500K guarantee on your mystery bounty, you can have a 25K bounty, and that that'll be really exciting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So this bounty multiplier day two is on Sunday. So there's a day. Oh, day one is there is a day one on Saturday. Okay, so
yep,
I could
there's
play that
they
one.
have a
Okay.
day one on the Sunday before at night and on the
Okay.
Saturday immediately before. So
And this probably has some sort of bag bonus.
probably, yeah,
Okay.
I did not bring up.
It's fine. I'll just fire whatever I could
Yeah,
do on a Saturday and
we'll talk about that
hopefully
a little. Yeah,
make it through.
we'll go into the nitty gritty on these tournaments.
Yeah.
The weeks leading up to them. Um,
Yep.
yeah. So the next event after that is the 40-40. So we've seen that before. I'm guessing that means 40K stack, 40-minute levels. This time they were able to make it a 400K guarantee for a 40-40-40. So last year was their 40th anniversary, I believe, and they wanted to do that 40-40-40. But if you recall, it had to be a 40-40-300 guarantee. So at least they got that up. This one runs from Monday to Sunday. It looks like yeah, to Sunday. It looks like, right. Let's see. Wait, 40-40-40-40. Yes. So this one, which is okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. The schedule is confusing me with the mystery bounty sign being red. So this is a pretty standard format. You're running from Monday day ones all the way to Saturday day ones, with day two being on Sunday. So this one, looks like it'll be a good one. $600 buy-in, 400K guarantee, kind of your standard setup. They have an additional evening flight on Friday that is a turbo. They didn't note that these other nighttime flights were turbos, but it's interesting. Nighttime flights do tend to be turbos in other locations, I think. So it's kind of good to see.
Yeah. All right. So the 40-40 is Monday, Friday. So day two Saturday.
It doesn't. No, it looks like there's another day one flight here on the third, 12 to.
Oh, so
Yep.
day two is
Yep.
Sunday.
So day two
Okay.
is Sunday, and it also looks like there's a horse event that day.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad at least a few of these have the day two or day one on Saturday, day two on Sunday format.
Yep. But once again, there's a confusing thing happening on this weekend. So for those of you out there, this is an extremely confusing schedule. In years past, I feel like
There's a lot going on.
yeah, I
Yeah,
feel
there's
like the
definitely a lot going on.
commerce, the LAPC has been easier to kind of understand. I feel like in years past, it's just been like, okay, there'll be day ones Monday through Saturday, and then day two will be Sunday, almost no matter what the tournament. And with the exception of like Super Bowl Sunday. Other than that, that's the format. This year, things are weird. If you'll notice, for this weekend that we're talking, which is going to be the first weekend in February, while this 40-40 is going on Saturday, on
Oh yeah,
Saturday
they're running the
night,
mystery bounty.
yeah, on Saturday night. So Saturday morning, there's the day one of the 40-40, but then on Saturday night is the first day one of the mystery bounty for the following week. And then
Interesting.
the day two for the 40-40s on Sunday. But instead of having a one-day tournament like they typically... Oh, wait. Okay, so this is really strange. So on that Sunday, they're going to run the day two. They're going to run a one-day.
A horse.
A horse also. They're going to run the day two, day one for a horse event, and a one-day hold'em tournament. And then at 5, they're going to run a day one for this mystery bounty. So, yeah, when you're at Commerce during this LAPC, it's going to be packed with events. There's going to be, when you go up to the registration window, make sure you know what you're going to play because they're going to have a lot of things going on at once. And
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
feels too confusing to me right now. I don't know. Maybe it'll be better when it gets there, but right now
You know,
it's just
when
feeling
when I
hard to
when
plan.
when you kind of think about it, this is sort of like how the World Series is running in the summer, where it's just kind of like events going on all over the place. You just have to keep track of what's going on. But yeah, this is definitely confusing for an LAPC schedule, but I kind of get it.
Yeah, it does kind of feel more like a more like the World Series schedule, which I don't know. Um, let's see here. So that is a little confusing. They have those starting at night, and the mystery bounty only has 188 888, Chinese New Year kind of thing happening, guarantee, which, for a multi-day mystery bounty tournament, I don't want to say it's disappointing, but it is the lowest guarantee aside from this weekday XL stack up here. And for a mystery bounty, you really need to have a big guarantee, I feel like, to make those bounties really exciting, right? So that's just
Yeah.
another funny decision because Saturday there'll be no
Yeah.
tournament. So the day 2 for this mystery bounty is Friday. So Derek can't play.
Maybe you should just swap that mystery bounty, you know, with the 500K and just run it earlier in the series.
That's exactly what I was saying. Yeah, if the bounty multiplier I thought it's newer, a little less popular. I
Yeah, and
would
you're
have
gonna have smaller
definitely
envelopes. That's right.
I would
Yeah.
have definitely made the 500K the mystery bounty, and people would just be out of their mind. You could say, well, hey, if we get
Yeah.
700K in the prize pool, we might have a 50 grand bounty envelope.
Yeah.
So I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Other than the fact that maybe they thought red envelopes at Lunar New Year would just
The
be
Chinese.
so cool.
Yeah, just a couple weeks off. It's not a big.
I mean, yeah, I think people are more excited about the 50 grand in it than it lining up with Lunar New Year. you
Yeah.
know? Um,
Um.
so Saturday, Lunar New Year, they won't have any tournaments. The following day, interestingly enough, is Super Bowl Sunday. They will have 2 small tournaments. That may be a good day to come in and get your trophies, Derek. I don't know if people don't
Oh
come in
yeah.
because they're small events. If there's because they're smaller buy-in events and because it's Super Bowl Sunday, that might be a good day
It's
to try
true.
and get yourself a Remington.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna skip the mystery bounty because I can't play that.
Yeah. So you can, you could still play the one day and Sunday. Try and get your trophy then.
Yeah.
I got mine in a Sunday one day, so
You know
it's
what? I'm
possible.
I'm gonna have a trophy already before then.
Yeah,
No sweat.
I gotcha. And so just a quick comment: this tournament, this series is great for mixed game players. They have mixed game tournaments going on like
It's all
every
over.
single weekday
Yeah.
of January.
This is like mixed game paradise.
And is it every single weekday of every? No, well, every single weekday until the 1K starts, basically. Every single weekday till the 1K
Yeah.
starts. And
Yeah. It's like a month.
for you trophy hunters, so this is where I'm kind of torn. You need a trophy. I recommend these $250 one days that start at noon, basically taking the place of their regular dailies. Or these $250 that start at 5 for the later weeks. So just check the schedule for when they start. If they're giving away
I don't know,
Remington for
man.
every one of those, I think those are your best bet. Go at 5
I don't know,
o'clock.
man. I think my chance would be much better at one of these multi days, but if you know how to play one days, then maybe definitely. Just shoot for those anyway.
I'm
They're
saying
going to be fun
they're gonna
tournaments.
be.
I'm
It
just
might be small. It might be small. That's all I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
But yeah, so I'm a little torn. I kind of feel like, honestly, I feel like at this point, I would like to see the Remingtons reserved for these multi-day events and the main events, and I'd like to see them come up with like, let's make another one of these like flat trophies for all the other events. They've got
Yeah.
they got the club here, they've got the spade. Maybe like make a nice heart or diamond and give that out for these one days. Save the Remington for the
I mean,
big
how
main
many?
events.
They're going to hand out like 100 Remingtons, or how many
I
is it going to
think
be?
there's
It's like-
56, 58 events here.
wow, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
So yeah, no tournaments on Lunar New Year. Super Bowl Sunday has some small stuff. Now, I kind of feel like this might have been why. I mean, because if obviously with Saturday having no tournaments, that really mucks up you trying to do this big multi-day thing over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm still confused why Saturday though. All the other days, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually Super Bowl Sunday is the day they take off, isn't it?
That's usually what it is, from what I can remember. So it's kind of weird that they are taking that Saturday off.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I always just feel like for all the things that we question about the commerce, there's always some sort of reason for something. So yeah.
We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if they clear the ballroom out and they like rent it out for a big Lunar New Year's party or something.
Oh yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah,
it's
I wouldn't be
unfortunate.
surprised at all if that's what they do. Um, but anyways, so after Super Bowl Sunday though, it's time for LAPC Super Bowl. You know, the big one for LAPC. So they call their main event the 10K, but I kind of feel like this is the main event. The $1,200 buy-in, 1 million guarantee
Yeah.
that will be happening after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, this very much feels like their main, even if the main is 10K. Honestly, without the WPT, this one feels like the 1200 is more the main event.
Yeah, because their main event, the 10K, only has a single day one. It looks like on the schedule here. So
Oh, really?
yeah, there's only a single day one. I think last year even they had 2 day ones, and
Yeah.
yeah, there's only a single day one. They don't have any kind of WPT sponsorship. They don't have a guarantee on it. This 1K feels like the main event to me. And 1 million guarantee, I honestly think that's ambitious. I really hope that they're running. I think last year they ran cash game promotions to get cash game players into this tournament. They gave away a lot of tickets to cash game players to some of these tournaments. Um, that would be
I mean, honestly, the LAPC, even without WPT, is still an event that people travel for. So I think that this, 1 million definitely feels a little bit audacious, but I'm kind of feeling like they're gonna hit it.
I mean, I really, really hope they do. I really, really fingers crossed they do because I would hate to see them just get snake bit by this. The
Yeah.
only reason I'm so concerned is because the LA Poker Open, they did their 1200 event. They only got to 380K, and that was across. I believe that was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, day one situation, right? Is that true? What was day two for that event? I was out of the country, I think, for that, so
I totally don't even
yeah,
remember.
that was while I was in Korea when that happened. But I remember the prize pool was 380. And the 2 days, the Garden 2 day event got to 380. So
I mean, putting up a $1 million guarantee is going to definitely get people to come. And like you're saying, this is like technically like the LAPC main event, I think. So a lot of people are going to come out for this one.
yeah, I really hope so. Hopefully, I know that this kind of when you get to 1 million, you start to pull up all of the guys down there from San Diego. I'm sure we'll have
Yeah,
our
right,
buddy Kev
right.
and all them coming up, and
Yeah,
so and then hopefully we can pull some people from NorCal too, and some
yeah. I'm sure there's going to be some unfortunate, big pros that are going to show up for this one. So
yeah. But we gotta hit these numbers. So here's hoping. Here's hoping. There's it's kind of embarrassing that the 1 million guarantee MSPT they do out in the middle of nowhere in Michigan gets 2 million in their prize pool, and we have trouble getting to 1 million in LA.
that is nuts. I mean, we are the bigger, or supposedly the bigger poker economy.
We should
Hmm.
be, yeah. I mean, I feel it's a little embarrassing. So I really hope we can kill this thing. But I think
Yeah.
that this weekend's event down at the Gardens will really be a good kind of litmus test. I think if they smash that, like I said, if they get like to 650, 680, I feel like that's gonna really say, oh, this will be no problem.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's gonna happen for both. They're probably gonna get around 650 for the one this weekend, and I'm pretty confident right now this is gonna hit the million.
Wayne, was that for the 10K main, or was that for did they for a 1K? I thought that their 10K main had a really weak guarantee. So Wayne is saying he thinks they pulled in 1.5 million last year with a 500K guarantee. I really don't remember any 1K or smaller tournaments getting anywhere near that. I don't remember the 1K getting to 1.5 million. Do you?
Yeah.
But if so, then that would be great. That means they can easily do it.
Yeah. It looks like they're wrapping up this series with the 200K guarantee, the Remington.
Yep.
So nice.
The Remington, and so if it's just like last year, they're gonna give away at the main they'll give away the extra large Remington trophy, and at the Remington they'll give away the extra large Remington trophy. And that was
Yeah.
won by Rachel Jacopuzzi last year. I know,
Nice.
she's a friend of mine. They had the big old trophy hanging out down at their home game for a little while. That was super fun. She was super excited to win that, so I'm sure she'll be there trying to defend. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's the
Yeah, it
like.
looks like there's some good food discounts and some hotel specials. So definitely, if you're coming in from out of town, look up those hotel specials at the Commerce.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Absolutely. And yeah, I'd say the opening event and the final event and the 600 are probably the kind of best, most traditional events
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
your weekend warrior, your
Yeah.
your stepping up from dailies kind of player. And then for anyone
Super
who can
excited for
afford
those three. Yeah.
1K, we got to be there. 1 million
Yeah.
guarantee. We're gonna get there.
I think that might be a problem with getting a Remington is I'm probably not going to be able to put in the volume if I'm going to be skipping like the mystery bounty and maybe the other one. But we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I don't know how you're ever possibly going to become the Phil Hellmuth of of Remingtons if you aren't
Right.
willing to put in the volume.
I'm going to play 4 events and hope that I get 4 Remingtons, right?
I know, right? I mean, you could if you want to make some side action there. I could definitely. I'm definitely willing to
I
make
mean,
some
what
bets.
would that be like 500 to 1? I don't
Oh
know. I
well,
don't even
look,
know.
hold on, come on. If you're not gonna have any faith in yourself, I'm not gonna bet. It's just not worth. All right. Um, cool. So that is our look at the LAPC schedule, and as expected, we will dive deeper into every week as they come up. Right now, our focus is on the Gardens. So let's move on to a little bit wider news. Let's move out of LA into all those guys who have the privilege of playing in regulated online poker sites like GG Poker. What is going on there? Well,
Yeah, this is crazy. This is just absolutely nuts.
yeah. So for those who aren't in the know, you want to fill them in, Derek?
Yeah, basically, some users on 2plus2 found a player who was just playing like really crazy. I think his results were something like I forget how many BBs per 100, but it was something that was completely unsustainable, right? It was like a number that didn't make sense over any sort of like sample size. So they were like, this guy's cheating. He's probably super using. And for people that don't know what super using is, back in the Ultimate Bet days, some cheaters on the Ultimate Bet site were able to see the whole cards of other players while they were playing. It was like one of the worst, possible cheating scandals that we've had in online poker like ever. So basically, that was the suspicion here that this player was able to see players' whole cards.
Yeah, and what kind of came out was it seems as though the player couldn't see whole cards, but what they could see was the all-in percentages.
Equity, yeah, the equities, yep.
Which is
Yep.
almost as good. Not quite, but it's almost as good. So,
Yeah.
and apparently that was there's some exploit with the client, and this is the part that's on GG. For some reason, data was being sent to the clients that contained or where you could compute those percentages, like in the middle of the hand, and
Yeah.
the client, of course, wouldn't show that to you, but if you were an enterprising hacker, you saw that data
Right.
and you could do something with it. And like, why whole cards, information,
Yeah.
nothing should ever be sent to a player's client other than their own two cards and the public information. What is going on here?
It was such an unbelievable hack that almost can't blame GG Poker for missing this, but what you can blame them for is pretty antiquated tech stack where they're using like Adobe Air or something like that. So
Yeah,
just, I'm sure they're going to learn from this, but that was just a super nutty hack.
Yep. So the vulnerability was only on the Windows client because of that access. That vector.
And how smart do you have to be to figure out this hack? Because this hack was so sophisticated. And then how stupid do you have to be to cheat like that? Like you could have printed money forever and nobody would have caught you if you just kept your BB per 100 at like a normal rate,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like you could just never lose, but you just
Especially
stupidity.
with they almost like spoon fed you how to not get that, not be that bad. Like they're just telling you your win percentages. Like, don't do anything so stupid. Like when you have a high win percentage with a nothing hand, just fold, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
but the other thing though, like I read in this part, I don't quite believe, but someone was saying that there was that these win percentages or the data to calculate these things was being sent unencrypted. In which case, it's really not that hard to detect. It's not that hard to use some sort of data sniffer, like a Wireshark, and see what's coming across. But like either way, this is absurd. This is why nobody trusts online poker. I told you in our debate before, online poker, don't do it. Just don't do it. Just come to Commerce, come to Gardens, just play live. Just come on down. Come on down.
And this is a good segue into the next topic we're going to talk about, but I still did believe, in the goodness of players. I still did believe that most people would not choose to cheat, right? If you were given the chance to cheat, and it's really just, there's like a whole bunch of very specific like coincidences that have to happen, especially in tournament poker for there to be a cheater. But yeah, let's talk about the next topic, Ty.
Yeah. Well, what would you have said if what percentage of people would you have said would be willing to cheat in online poker?
I was
What would you
gonna
have said?
go. I was gonna go 80-20.
80
80 would
20?
not cheat. 20 would cheat.
So I wish you
So
had
this
told me in side bet. I didn't even know this poll existed. I wish we could have made a side bet that you're 5% off because here's the
this is
results, right?
unbelievable.
Here you
It's
go.
so disappointing. It's so disappointing. I saw this right away, and you can even see my top comment for me is disappointing. I like, and actually when I had first voted, it was like 70%, right? So I think this
Wow.
eventually like leveled out,
So yes was
but still, like,
70%.
yeah, I mean, this is still super upsetting that 44% of people would just super use if they can get away with it,
E-
right? That's just terrible.
Even if it was 50-50, that would still be extremely disappointing, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like that's sad. And
yeah,
now this is kind of interesting though because it's kind of like on the internet with all the anonymity and you're not face to face. People are a lot crueler to each other. They're a lot meaner. They
yeah.
do stuff they'd never do, right? So, what percentage of people do you think would cheat in real life or face to face if they thought they could get away with it?
Maybe the 80-20 was probably I was thinking more about live than online, and I was just, projecting, what I think live would to online would be. But if you would cheat just because you're anonymous, it just more says something about you, I suppose. Where then in live, if you could actually just get away with it and feel like you wouldn't get caught, you would just go ahead and take it, right? So the only thing that's preventing live is just that it's harder, right? So, anyways, it's super disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely. So the good news is GG has patched that. The bad news is a lot of people aren't real happy with their response. I agree, I think. Clearly, they knew about this before and they never came out public with it until the community found it. Once the community found it,
Yeah,
the speed at which they fixed it kind of tells me they knew about it and they were working on it. But I
mm,
feel like
sure.
if they had just gone about their business, they would have patched up these holes, fixed the client, and just never told anyone about this. And
Right.
I mean, that's just bad. I don't think that's great policy for people, for
Yeah.
companies, and because the internet sleuth's gonna find out, and this combined with the removal of the ability to use what was it, SharkScope on GG earlier in the year.
Oh, that's right. They did
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I
So
forgot.
if this guy had continued, so he only cheated in one tournament they knew about, and
Yeah, it was cash
he won it,
games.
he
Yeah,
crushed it. But if he just kept winning those tournaments, it would have been harder, taken longer to track
to
and
catch
find
him.
him if he wasn't so
Yeah,
obvious about it, right? So,
yeah.
but
Thank God
SharkScope
for
would
the
have
two
helped.
plus two sleuths. Yeah.
I know, right? So let's talk about something a little more, a little less of a downer. Um, so the year wrapped up. So a couple player of the year races finished up. The MSPT finished up there at the Venetian, but the big one. I know it was a really tight race. Who do you suppose won the WPT Player of the Year? I think
I
I
think
feel like Chance had a really good shot at it. Like maybe it was Foxen. He was doing pretty good there, right?
I think we all know who won this one because we kept talking about him constantly this whole year, and it's Mr. Bin Wang.
Yeah, Bin Wang. He had this thing all but wrapped up halfway through the year, but just in case, he made sure to win another one at the main event there.
And what's nuts is that he won the one drop, which didn't actually count for Player of the Year. So it's just what a year this guy had.
Oh, that one didn't count.
No,
Oh man, he lives in Philadelphia. No wonder he played that Borgata early. So I used to live in Philadelphia. Maybe it's better I started playing tournaments out here instead of there, so I wouldn't get crushed so bad by him. Then again, maybe I just kind of watch him and learn.
yeah, he's really like we said before, between him and Steven Song, they're definitely making me reevaluate how I think about poker, how I think about risk in tournaments, and what it really means to take shots to get that podium finish.
Yeah. And I mean, amazing year. I don't know if anyone will ever do it again or in the next 10 years. He went wire to wire with the title. Like you just couldn't catch this guy.
I mean,
Fantastic.
it's sick because he's doing this with big open fields. That's so much harder than I mean, obviously the high rollers are super stacked, but to be able to do it with these huge open fields with so much variance is it's crazy.
Yep. So congrats. Oh, hey, Wayne is saying last year at the Commerce, he said it was the 1K where they got to 1.5 million last year. So I didn't remember that, but That's really encouraging. That's awesome. I really hope they do the same thing again this year. He said they got to 1.5
Yeah.
million in the 1K last
Yeah, a
year.
lot of
So,
people come out for the LAPC.
all
It
right.
really attracts a lot of players. So
Okay. Yeah. Well, here we go. Let's go. Wayne, you got me way more hopeful than I was. I was a little bit nervous, but let's go. I'm excited. All right. And then, last topic, before we get to the roundup today. It is the end of the year. It's time. Is the beginning of the year, end of the year. It is time for reflection. It is time for retrospection. It's time for resolutions and changes. So, a lot of the poker pros and some of the top celebrities out there, like Daniel Negreanu, like Rampage Poker, were posting their results for the year and their reflections. Right? I know it's something we all do. I think about my results, talking to my buddies about how our years went, but Rampage posted up, and he said he had his first losing year ever, which, I mean, good for him. Like to have your very first losing year. But it was a big one. So in tournaments this year, he lost over 400 grand. And it's just kind of a reminder of how big the swings are in tournament poker and how hard it is to have a winning year, how hard it is to go. Like his cashes, he cashed around 12% of his live events. He fired 233 bullets. I actually looked, I fired 250 something bullets this year. So, but 12% is like, it's a little low, but it's about right. You want to be like around 15%, 12 to 20% is reasonable. More than 20 is insane, but, so these numbers aren't bad, but you still end up way on the losing end stick of the losing end of variance, just probably losing flips a lot of the times, right? So, um,
yeah.
it's kind of a little sobering reminder that everybody's gonna have these downswings, right? And then Daniel Negreanu, he posted a big video, big eye-catching title: "How I Lost Over $2 million in a Year." So Mr. Dnegs lost 2.2 million last year, his second losing year, I think, in a long, 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 long time. So, uh, but not to dwell on the negative, he had a lot of very valuable insight into why he felt his year was not as good as it could have been, right? And I think a lot of those reasons will resonate with a lot of people, and I think I know they kind of touched you and really struck a chord with you, right, Derek?
Yeah, definitely give that video a watch because it was a good one. Not only to just talk about his losses, but he really just talked about like what went wrong and then what he was going to do to make it better. And this is just him talking to himself, but so much of this can apply to all of us basically. So he had a really, really big score before this year. So he was talking about winner's tilt. And he articulated really, really well about how when you have a bunch of success, all of a sudden you start playing really reckless, right? And we all do it. Like I've done it before. And this is one of the things that really hurt him. Obviously, he still had a lot of bad luck. A lot of his all in, like you saw it on his vlogs. He was getting punished really, really bad. But then he said he was playing too many tournaments, and he also is saying in the high rollers, there's a lot of smaller edges now because so many, the high roller players are getting so much better. But then generally, I think everyone's getting better at poker, right? The edges, I mean, obviously, there's still like a lot, a lot of money and a lot of equity to be had in these mid-stake tournaments, but people are getting better and edges are getting smaller. So that is something that we have to think about: is that winners tilt, too many tournaments, smaller edges, and then basically his solution to them were basically he's only going to play when he's ready. If he feels like he's not ready, he's not going to play. And he actually even said for some of the vlogs this year, I might just be sitting around the pool with Amanda instead of playing poker, right? Like that might actually happen this year because he just doesn't want to play unless his mind is there. He then also talked about less gamble and less rebuying, and we've talked about this a lot before. I'm not a big fan of a lot like rebuys are necessary to make sure that you are staying alive in tournaments, especially ones with big prize pools, especially ones where you have edge to, basically go and cash and make those final tables. But to glorify them is silly. If you're firing 5 or 6 bullets per tournament, I can tell you right now, you're a losing player. There's no way you're making that money back, right? People try to glorify like Alex Fox and firing in like 7 bullets at 100K and then, like winning the tournament. That's so rare, right? I mean, what do you think about rebuys?
I think what I really like is the way that Jonathan Little tries to frame a rebuy. Is that at the time you're going to rebuy, try and do a really honest evaluation of if you just arrived at the site right now, first thing you're doing all day. Do you feel like this is a positive EV tournament for you to enter and play at this point? You know, um, And I like that. I feel like if you think, because each rebuy you should treat as a completely separate tournament, right? That
Yeah.
that the former you wasn't even in. I think for me, my takeaway from his last gamble is um, one thing that it's easy to do once you have the money to rebuy like that is that you let the ability to rebuy affect your decisions in the previous bullet,
Right.
and that's kind of adds that extra gamble in, right? You kind of
That
mentioned
was mostly what
before,
he was saying.
yeah, you
Yeah,
kind of
that's
mentioned
what he was
before you
saying.
had that, like, oh, you called with a flush draw because you've got another bullet. But like, if you didn't have another bullet, or forget about bullets, it was a freeze out. Would you play different? And then we have to really think about, well, is a freeze out strategy the best strategy or not? And
Yeah.
to what extreme? Where do we move that needle, right, to play optimally without playing, you know, too recklessly, So
Yeah. And even that gamble I took with the flush draw, it's generally that I was playing really solid up to that point. Yeah, I was three betting a little light here and there, but nothing too crazy. If you kind of looked at my live HUD, I was probably within the range of like a good solid like numbers. But then I just took a shot at a big pot, and that's okay. But I think his general point in what you're saying is like don't play super spewy just because you have all the rebuys in your pocket, because all you're gonna do is just crush your ROI. And I've mentioned this before too. Pros have a very, very different incentive than most of you amateurs do. Like they have sponsorships, they have coaching sites, right? So winning bracelets, winning titles is really important for the reputation because they're using that to make money elsewhere, right? So if you're not doing that, you're not a content creator, you don't have a coaching site, really, just worry about your ROI and don't be firing all these rebuys recklessly.
right, yeah. So what you really, I think the balance we're trying to strike is when that gamble comes up, is that a good plus EV plus tournament EV decision for me right now? Not, oh, it doesn't matter. Like I can get chips, it's negative EV, but I can get chips and I can rebuy. It's like let's just
Yeah.
make sure you're still making plus EV decisions for this bullet without letting the other bullet affect it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing too, he said just stay humble, work hard, which I think is really obvious. But then the last one he talked about was not chasing the player of the year. And this is again just the volume thing where he was just saying like, sometimes I was in a tournament where I had to focus, and then also I'm trying to play two bracelet events online. And I have a story from the World Series this year. I was playing an event. It was one of the kind of lower buy-in ones. After I had busted from one of the bigger ones, and I'm playing this one while also playing a bracelet event, and I was playing fine. Like I'm actually pretty good at like multitasking, so I was like playing fine. And then one hand, I just didn't notice that the under the gun player had raised. I was pretty short stacked. It folded to me, or I thought it folded to me in the small blind, and I just jammed. And the only reason why I missed the action because there was a hand going on the online like bracelet event, and then he basically snap called me with ace king. I think I had jammed with something like jack seven and busted out of the tournament. But these are the little things that really matter. So yeah, like even people and I'm used to playing online. I was able to play like 10 tables at a time before. I can't really do that anymore. But it's really tough to be doing so many things at once. So I think Daniel's really spot on. For many people, you should take a lot of what he said to heart and definitely watch this video. It was a good one.
Yeah, poker's kind of like it's kind of like driving. In that way, it's like you can do pretty well with a pretty low level of attention, but all it takes is one mistake and it's
Yeah,
catastrophic.
just one.
You
Yep,
know,
exactly.
you look down at one text and you flip your car and it's you're in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. In a tournament, you
Right.
you miss the guy under the gun limping, or you look up and you see it wrong, and all of a sudden you're out of the tournament. Um,
One
and
one of the
it's
the
hard to
players I
focus for
absolutely
sure.
yeah. And one of the players I absolutely modeled myself after and I really look up to is Stephen Chidwick. And when you watch that guy, like he is the definition of focus, man. He's just watching every single person, every single action. He's just sitting there like an absolute rock. I don't think I've seen a player more focused than he does and plays as well as he does. So yeah.
Yeah, and in these events, in the events we're talking about this weekend, just from the stories I told, I mean, that guy in the satellite who didn't notice the big stack had gone all in because
Yeah, exactly.
he
I
threw
was I
he
was
went
thinking about that when you said that
yeah
story. I was thinking exactly about that. Yeah.
yeah because the guy said all in and threw one chip, and the other guy just he had his headphones on, it was looking kind of down and
Yeah.
forwards, he just didn't hear it. And
You
on
just missed the action.
yesterday's tournament in level one, um, I'd made top boat. I had a jack. The board ran out. Jack 10 something 10 jack, and I knew for sure. I was very certain my opponent had a 10 the way the hand played out. So I bet the river. I bet pot on the river, and he accidentally raised me. I mean, these things you have to focus, and it was a
Right.
lot. I bet we're in level one. I bet 8,000 on the river, and he made it 16,000. because I had bet, to make it 8 grand, you put in a orange one and 3 brown ones, but he put in 3 brown
Yeah.
ones and an orange one because he wasn't paying attention. And when he did that, I
Yeah,
made a face.
mistakes.
I'm like, how? How are you raising me? What's going on? Do you have tens? This hand makes no sense now. You have a 10. What are you doing? And before I'd even called, before he even called, he said your jack is good and started to like, wiggle his hand like he's ready to throw it in. I'm like, why are you telling me jack's good? You raised me. He thought
Yeah.
he called. So yeah, one mistake cost you your entire stack pretty much at any moment. So absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, mistakes are going to happen. It's impossible, especially for long-term and data to focus all the time, but you have to do your best, right? You took the time to go to the casino, play the tournament, put your buy-in in,
Yep.
right? Be present, be there, focus, pay attention, do the
Yep.
best that you can. Don't be digging around your phone all day. If you have stuff to do for work, just skip the tournament that day. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yep. Yep. And you don't have to be triple tabling as you're saying. So
Yeah.
all right. Yep. No, definitely. Daniel's a smart guy. He's definitely a veteran with a lot to teach everybody. So definitely check the video out.
Yep.
All right. Well, that does it for our topics for the week. Let's get into the roundup, shall we? So, as it comes to no surprise whatsoever, the number one thing we would like everyone to go and play this weekend, if you can afford it, if it's your kind of tournament, the main event at the Gardens is the tournament to be at. 500K
This is a
guaranteed
big one.
2-day event. We're there. Day one start Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They are running milestone mystery bounty satellites every day up until Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They have satellites, 10 seats guaranteed into each one. Go play, get into this thing. First prize is going to be over
Yeah.
100 grand. It's going to be great.
Those satellites are so much fun already anyway, but then to get into this big event is going to be fantastic. And also just remember that anytime you play at the Gardens, you're just rolling up points for all their free rolls. So
Yeah, I know I got probably to the second tier with just that one tournament because we're getting 3 points per entry with this series.
nice.
Yeah. Um, if you can't make a 2-day tournament or that's a little out of your price range, let's take a look at some of the other schedules from around town here. Hollywood Park has its January schedule out. So for those of you who play at Hollywood Park, there is no tournament on Sunday. There is a Kansas City versus Chargers game, it looks like. Saturday, they have a 80 plus 60 3K guarantee tournament. Lucky Lady has a 10K guarantee on Saturday, a little later in the day. So if you want to do some driving, you could hit up both. Friday, they have their 8K bounty at the regular time at Hollywood Park. And I believe Commerce will be having all its regular dailies this week as well. So if you can't make it or don't want to play the main event down at the Gardens, those are your daily options around town. All right.
Yeah, definitely get out there. Still a lot of good tournaments going around. If you can't make that Gardens main, but yeah, get out there for that one if you can.
Yeah. And let's everybody have a good start to the year. Take Daniel's advice. Make sure you're refreshed and ready to go for the year. And I guess we will see you at the tables.
See you at the tables, everyone.
All right.